my eye. Through the mist, my surprise shone light from distant northern skies. At that point, realized I don't know where it comes from, but I know it's okay. If this is all an illusion, then I'm willing to play.
Welcome to the Quantum Guide Show, interviews with awakened masters as they share their quantum work with you. The Quantum Guide Show is produced by Karen Holton, creator of the 9 Steps to Quantum Health Transformation, a free 9-step online course to give you the tips and resources you need to thrive. Karen lost and continues to keep off 178 pounds of surplus body weight as she made her dreams come true. Whether you are awakening to the ascension process or simply want a wiser, more efficient lifestyle, this program is for you. No strings attached. The Quantum Guide Show is brought to you in part by Zendome's Orgonite, Karen's unique brand of orgone generators, ethically sourced, handmade, and double charged for maximum effect. Find out how orgone generators work and what they can do for you. Don't be fooled by imitations. Check out Karen's current selection, only available from her website, KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com, and on Facebook, facebook.com/Quantum Health Transformation. Enjoy the show.
Welcome back to the Quantum Guide Show. I am very pleased to introduce our special guest today, Aage Nost, friend, author, radio host, and spiritual teacher. Now, for those of you who don't know Aage, let me tell you just a tiny bit about what he's been up to. Aage was born on a farm in Norway, and by the age of 25, he'd learned several languages, studied science, including metaphysics, and all kinds of different forms of spirituality. Soon after he left Norway, he moved to the USA and attended flight school in Greeley, Colorado. Later in 1975, Aage and a partner started one of the most active flight schools called Arrowhead Airways Incorporated. Between then and now, he's been involved in so many projects. Let me just name a few. Aage got more into paranormal research, hypnosis, oil painting, teaching hypnosis, and mind development. He created and operated various radio stations and hosted several live talk shows. He wrote the book Universal Success Principles and How Billionaires Think. And by the way, folks, all the links will be in the description box below. With a co-host in Germany, Aage is currently hosting a radio show called The Universal Consciousness Show, which is live at 11 a.m. on Mondays, U.S. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Greenwich, 8 p.m. Norwegian and Central European Time. It appears on the K-Core Radio, www.kcore.com, and also on YouTube. With 2 partners, Aage started a podcast with video production called Broadcast Team Alpha, and it can be found at www.broadcastteamalpha.com. Be sure to check out Aage's website with the archive of radio shows, news blogs, and over 5,000 unbelievable pictures at his website, www.universal-consciousness-show.com. Aage is easy to find all over the internet. He's on YouTube, he's on Facebook. Just Google Aage Nost. And last but not least is Aage's latest book called Spiritual Science, Higher Consciousness Thinking, and How to Access the Universal Consciousness. This is a fantastic read. And again, how to get this book will be in the links below, and it's available on Amazon.com. But today we're going to talk about Aage's latest project called the Mastermind Connection. Welcome, Aage, and thank you for appearing for the second time on the Quantum Guide Show.
Well, thank you. I love to be here. We're going to have fun.
We are. Augie, before we get started, can you explain to folks a little bit about your name? Because some people aren't sure how to pronounce it.
They probably can't or don't know how, but that's understandable because I am an import to the United States and I came from Norway. So we have 3 letters in the Norwegian alphabet you don't have in the English alphabet. And I got 2 of them in my name. So I had to change things around a little bit to make it fit on the American typewriter in 1972 when I got here.
Mhm.
So I have become Aage in the United States and the last name Nost. See, those letters, they are embedded in the name. So here it's Aage Nost. Over there it's Aage Nost.
Mhm.
So it's just a little different, but it works.
It sure does. It sure does. Augie, can you tell us a little bit about the Mastermind Connection and what can it do for people?
Well, the mastermind is it's a concept that very few people really understand much about. They've heard about something similar that has been used for decades, and
Mhm.
that is called business use it a lot. They call it brainstorming sessions.
Mhm.
And brainstorming is somewhat similar, and they, to a small degree, are able to tap into the same source as the mastermind does, because there is a definition for the mastermind, and there are several definitions, but the one that is closest to what it is that when 2 or more minds are united in harmony, they create a third mind, which has the potential mind power of the 2 or more of them multiplied by each other. So, if 1,000 people get together and think on one issue and project that forward in one direction for a purpose, they have 1,000 people times 1,000. That's a mind power of 1,000,000 minds. And that is powerful. Because when you join minds like this, then it's not just thought anymore. It becomes an energy. And that energy has momentum. It reaches into the quantum and search for a match in vibration. And that vibration is created by the energy that we put in to our thoughts and our emotion, our vivid, colorful pictures, our gratitude for already having what we ask for, and these kinds of things, which is basically the spiritual language. When we join that together into one unified thought and send that through the channel into the quantum, it searches around for a match, and whenever they finds it out there, it will start bringing that back. And that could be for any kind of purpose at all. We've had some tremendous results with what we're doing. And I think that's probably as close as I get to a very long definition of it.
Wonderful. So it sounds to me like it's a bit like law of attraction, but on steroids. It sounds much more powerful because of that exponential effect of joining people together and being in harmony with the same purpose and goal and intention. Now, what kind of things, just for folks that are really new to this information, what kind of problems or situations could folks take to a mastermind to have improved?
uh, what kind of challenges can be dealt with? But first, you are exactly right. It is on the same principles as law of attraction, and that's why my partner in this project, Nori Love, she is also a double certified law of attraction coach, so she has helped to define what we're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
And what I talk about in the book that you just showed a little while ago, also we go into very depth on how to communicate with the universal mind. And that gets actually very powerful, and it is a lot simpler than what we think it is.
Mm-hmm.
But what kind of issues can we deal with in the mastermind? That is probably just about anything. Um, I want to mention one of the examples that we did. We dealt with health here a few, actually 2 weeks ago. And before that, about 4 months ago now, a friend of mine from the Midwest called me and he said, I got bad news because my daughter has been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, the fourth stage, I mean, stage four.
Wow.
And you know, you just don't recover from anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, okay, yeah, that is bad news. You're right. But let me get a hold of Nori. She is also a Reiki master. And we talked about it. And we talked to Don and we talked to Teresa, his daughter. And we start putting together a mastermind around her by us, as well as we invited the people on social media, and we worked on her. Nori talked to her also privately and coaxed her and counseled her on what to do, both with diet and how what to think and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that had a big part of it. And for some reason, Teresa was the one that started this ball out. Just she threw us the ball and we did our part with it. But she kind of created this mastermind through us because there were new doctors that came into the picture. There were more and better food supplements that got into the picture. And there was a little church group with a few people that got in there, got involved in the mastermind around her. And we joined minds, and 2 months, I think maybe 2.5 months or so later, she went back to the doctor, and the doctor said, I don't understand. You have no cancer in your body anywhere. That is what a mastermind can do. And that's just one example. And also, we did somewhat of a similar thing before we started this mastermind group in the fall of 2018, where there was a hurricane coming up the coast from Europe all the way up the coast of Cuba, and it was a Category 4 hurricane when it left Cuba. In 90 miles, it fizzled out to just a tropical storm. And we created a mastermind on that thing. And hundreds of thousands of other people around the world were doing it in their capacity. We had no knowledge of what they were doing or where they were, but I'm sure they did the same thing. And all of this collapsed the hurricane from a Category 4, at one time it was a 5 actually, down to a tropical storm. So these are the kinds of things that can happen. And we are going to go after different issues. And we did one on abundance last Sunday, and you were on that one. And that was fun. That was a lot of fun, actually. And I invite people to go back and listen to the recording in the Patreon website, where they can listen to it again as a patron. Because the more you listen to it, the more you participate in the mastermind session at the time it was recorded in the past because of quantum entanglement.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So this gets a little hard to wrap our heads around, but outside of the physical, well, at least above the lower astral world, there is no space and time as we know it. We have past, present, and future is just sitting there in that soup of creation as potentials for physical creation. All we have to do is to interact with it and intend for it to come into the physical. Then it would start coming back because our vibration matches the vibration there. And what then happens is that there is a connection between us and that vibration. So when we are intending for it to come here, it comes here. And it don't necessarily have to come through physical laws of physics, because the hurricane didn't apply the physical laws of physics, because according to the laws of physics as we know it, it could not collapse in 90 miles from a category 4 or 5 to a tropical storm, because when a hurricane moves over hot warm water, it picks up more moisture and become more powerful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it totally went against the laws of physics. So that is what can happen.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to do more of these things, and we're going to see what it can grow into. And we are going to allow for people to create their own wishes and wants within the concept of the vibration that we're sending into the soup of creation to
Mm-hmm.
attach to. So when, let's say, 1,000 people participate, every one of us has different wants and needs and things we like to have happen.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't matter, because the universe knows what each one has for them in
Mm-hmm.
their mind. But what is important is that we create a common vibration
Mm-hmm.
of something that goes into the quantum. That vibration makes the contact. Once it gets there, it spreads out and it attaches to all the things that we want, each one of us, and start pulling it back for each one of us.
Beautiful. Augie, that reminds me a lot. Just for folks that are not really familiar with the science behind this, I just want to say that this reminds me a lot of group prayer. So if someone has an illness or there's a problem, or even the fires that were going on in Australia, all the different people who participated in group prayer, and that can include on the internet where you've never even met the other people, but you're casting your energy into the prayer, brings about the same result. So people have been doing mastermind for thousands of years, but didn't know the science behind it and didn't know what it was called. So people don't have to be afraid that this might be some new age, weird woo-woo thing at all. This is something very practical, something that's been in our cultural heritage for thousands of years, something that we do all the time. We're just understanding now how it works. Would you agree with that, Augie?
Absolutely. What they are doing is creating a mastermind in the church, and
Mm-hmm.
they don't even know it. This is has nothing to do with religion. You
Mm-hmm.
could be a Buddhist, you can be a Christian, you could be a total atheist. It is
Mm-hmm.
science behind the physical that we are attaching to, and this works a lot more than what you would think, and a lot better than what you would think.
It
Because when
does.
two minds are united in harmony, you could have a family getting together. Let's say 4 or 5 people in the family, you get together at dinner and you talk. You figure out, what do we want? And let's say that, hey, their car is on the last leg or maybe the last tire, and you need a new one.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, you decide what you want, how it's going to look like, how it's going to feel like, how you're going to feel when you're in it. You talk about all these things, and you imagine it being there without concerns. That means without payments. It's all taken care of. It is yours. And when you start visualizing, feeling it, put emotion and love and gratitude and vivid, colorful pictures in it, feel that new car smell. Oh, there's nothing like a new car smell. And send that out into the quantum, attached to it out there, because it already exists. The car companies already created the doggone thing. So all you have to do is to latch on to it there and bring it back to you. Very often it will go through the process of physical creation, which usually involves you doing something, like maybe going down to the dealership and test drive one.
Mm-hmm.
And also maybe start thinking of what else can I do up and beyond what I'm doing in order to make this happen. That could involve maybe completing a project that you have been working on so it can pay,
Mm-hmm.
or extra work, or just going down to the dealership and finding one that just happens to be, let's say, a demonstrator or something that goes for a little over half price, and you
Mm-hmm.
just might have the money to pay that off. So all kinds of different conditions come into play and make it happen for you.
It sure does.
Yeah.
Augie, can I tell you a little something that happened to me? I was a big woman all my life, over 320 pounds, right up until I was 50. And I wanted to lose weight, and I believed that I could have a different body. And so, even though I was only a mastermind of one, I was quite intent on my belief that this was possible. I put it out to my higher self, my guides, to universal consciousness for help. And I did little things, like, for instance, I bought myself a Barbie doll that looked similar to me. Well, I never really looked like that, but you know what I mean, close enough. And I bought Barbie doll clothes for it, and I put them on the doll, and I imagined that was an effigy of myself. This is what I look like. This is the clothes I wanted to wear, just as an example. And lo and behold, this is well over 10 years ago, and I made a permanent body change. Most people, less than 5%, are able to keep that kind of weight off. And I've had no problem keeping it off because
Mhm.
I changed my DNA through
Yeah.
desire, action, uh, putting it out to universal consciousness. So I know it works, and I know it works very, very well. And so I just wanted to throw in that little example.
That's
The other thing, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, that's exactly how it works. But you're wrong about one thing.
What's that?
You said that you were a mastermind of one. You were not. You were masterminding with the universal mind.
Yes.
And that universal mind is a composition of all minds. How can you mastermind with anything better than that?
Absolutely.
You couldn't
Well
beat that.
said. Well
And
said.
in some religious terms, you could say you were masterminding with God.
I believe I was, because the results are miraculous. The
Yeah.
results are absolutely miraculous, and for me, permanent. And the other thing I wanted to mention too is, for me, it's a bit of a process. So I would do the intention, and I would mastermind the change I wanted. And then I always look for just noticeable differences. What do you think about that, Og?
Well, everybody wants something different, and even though somebody may need, I want a new, let's say, house.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the concept of the house is the same if you want that, but individuals may want different looking houses. Once some say, "Hey, I'm good with 3 bedrooms," and another guy, he's got 4 kids, so now he wants 6 bedrooms because he also wants an office.
Mm-hmm.
So, we got different ideas of what we want, and that doesn't matter. Send that into the universe, and it will latch on to your house, the one that is best for you. And the thing about it is that what we're talking about right now is so much simpler than what we think. Everybody can do this. If uh, quantum mechanics has proven that we live in a mind created universe. And what that means is that there really is nothing physical here. The physicality and the sensation of the solidity is
Mm-hmm.
created by the mind
Mm-hmm.
as a projection or a interpretation of its visual image.
Mm-hmm.
And your mind believes that it's solid, so it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the mind creates things like this. So, why could we not take our mind, join with the universal mind and create something that we want instead of some of the garbage that we have in our life. We just all have to design it in our mind, know what we want, and join with other minds in order to strengthen it, and then share our thoughts and our images and our vibration of love and emotion and feeling with the universe and say, hey, this is what I would like to have because it's a good thing for the family, good for the neighborhood, good for the community, good for our church group, good for the country. Share it with others because that's where it's at. And there is this universal law that in order to better be understood, it should, when you want something, you want to create something, make it be good for more than 3 people. Because the universe is not a selfish thing, it is a sharing thing, a giving thing, and it is more powerful when it is shared with others. So if you want a new car, include your family being there joining it with you. So a new house, the family. If you're in a church group, say that the roof is about to fall in on the group, well, hey, you need a new church, right? So include the congregation in that image that you sent out to have. If you want a new something or other in your state, include the people in the state in it for their good. So it's a sharing thing.
Does that mean, Augie, that we could also use it for maybe cleaning up some of the problems on this planet, the political problems, pollution problems, all kinds of problems? Does that mean that we can literally take our power back and change this earth into the paradise that it used to be and that it could be again?
As it was intended to be
Thank you.
before the psychopaths got in power.
But we can
Now,
change all that, is what you're saying.
well, yeah, absolutely, and I, I, I didn't intend this group to be for politics, and I want to stay away from that because things are so bad in Washington and most other governments that it's going to collapse on their own. They don't need my help. So, what we can do for cleaning up the environment, that is create a mastermind or join us in this one. In fact, we're going to do one of those pretty shortly here. Visualize clean water across the ocean, nothing floating in it, just all clean water. And see beaches that is just white sand with no pop bottles or garbage bags or stuff laying there. Just cleanness everywhere. And we're going to concentrate on that because there are technologies now that can help us do this. There is technologies that will do away with all nuclear waste. It can neutralize it in a matter of days. If you have a barrel sitting down there, put it inside of an orgone box and close the door. Leave it there
Fix it.
for it could take a few days, but it will neutralize the radioactive radiation from that barrel. But it is too much money in all this waste, so it's not going to change unless that the universe comes in and help us. Mankind needs this.
And maybe instead of focusing on politics, we could focus on global peace, love being the dominant intention on the
Yes.
planet. And that makes it not just good for me and you, but everybody. And maybe the more people we include in our desire to have it better, the better it actually works. What do you think about that, Augie?
Absolutely, yeah. All we we don't really need to concentrate on politics because if we concentrate on love, it will change politics. That doesn't mean that the people that is running the show got to die off for new people to come. No, it changes maybe their impression of things so that they're still there doing the work, but they do it in a more beneficial way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I was thinking there's already been all kinds of things that we never thought would change. The Berlin Wall came down,
Yeah.
South Africa ended apartheid. So many things we never dreamed possible are now possible. Even back in, say, the 1930s, you take what was the world record for running or for high jumping. That's been so far exceeded today. No one ever believed that the human body could even do that. Yet, here we are with huge changes. And so I believe anything is possible. I'm very excited about this program. I'm hoping that people will want to know more about it and find out more. And another question that I have is, when and where would they meet? Where would they have to go? And what would they have to do so that they can get started on this program and join us on Sundays?
Well, we do the mastermind session is done at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Sundays, East Coast time, 11 o'clock West Coast time, United States, and that's 8 o'clock in the evening Central European time. And from there on, I'm sorry guys, if you're in Hong Kong or Australia, we have to figure that out for you. I don't have that in my head. It's on my smartphone. It's a lot smarter than I am. So that is what we do. But send us an email to the mastermind connection at gmail.com. That is the mastermind connection at gmail.com, because we're doing this mastermind on Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's got better quality of pictures and less buffering than Skype does. Sorry, Skype. But it's just the way it is. So we have to send you the link. So when
Mm-hmm.
we get your email to the mastermind connection at gmail.com, we will send you a link. And before 12 o'clock noon Mountain Time, United States, then you can just click on that link and bingo, you're in the room.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you don't have Zoom on your computer or on your smartphone, go to zoom.us. That is ZOOM.us, and download the app. It's very simple. It'll take about somewhere between 3 to 4 seconds to download it, and you're in business.
Mm-hmm.
From there on, we would love to hear from you, and also suggestions about maybe issues that we can deal with in the future. I know one of them is that we're going to deal with ever so often is health, because
Yeah, it's a big.
government doesn't need, they don't deal with health. The insurance companies doesn't deal with health. They deal with a disease management system. So
Mm-hmm.
we're going to try to maybe have people think themselves well. How
Mm-hmm.
about that? It can be done. I've seen it done. My co-host Diana on the Universal Consciousness show, she did that. She
Mm-hmm.
was in a really bad shape, and she started studying neuroscience and listened to the thought leaders that have done these things.
Mm-hmm.
And it took her, actually a couple of years to get rid of everything she had, but it worked. You did it. A lot of other people can do this. It's a lot simpler
Than
than
what we
what it
think.
sounds like. Now, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
say easy. There's a little bit of effort on our part, but
Mm-hmm.
a lot of that effort can be done while we're sitting on our butts watching the, the computer,
Mm-hmm.
YouTubes and stuff like that. So it is not a lot of effort except time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And maybe believing that we can do it and that we are worth it. I want to give you another example from my life. Twice I have had fairly significant cancer symptoms. Now, I will never say that I had cancer because I'm not going to own something like that, but I did have symptoms. And the first time I took it to the universal consciousness. And I said, you know what? Whether I live or die is not anything to do with that doctor. That's between you and me. So let's see what we can do. And I made some changes to my diet, and universal consciousness allowed me to have the awareness to recognize areas I needed to make a shift. 3 months later, I went to see the surgeon. He says, there must be a mistake here. You have no symptoms. And that taught me a lot. Then a couple years later, I was under a lot of stress, and the symptoms came back, and I went to the doctor, and again, same thing. And I went home, and I had some extra help. I can't even explain how this happened, but long story short, my stove stopped working. The owner came to check on it. He's a pastor, and he prayed for me right then and there. He laid his hand just on my shoulder and prayed for me. But I knew I could get better, and I knew it worked before it could work again. So I had to believe. I had to float it out there to universal consciousness and trust that I am loved, that I am cared for, and that health is my birthright. And then the next week when I went in for tests, there was no symptoms. In fact, again, the specialist came in and says, there must be some mistake here. We can't explain it. So I think miracles are much easier to have happen than we ever dreamed possible. And I think the mastermind is another word for miracle creation. And I wonder what you think about that, Aage.
Well, see, there is no miracles. There is no such thing as miracles. There is only science of the future, because it comes through the mind. And miracles, what you call miracles, come because of things that you attach in the universal mind and bring it back into the present. Now, doctors talk about spontaneous remission. That's not a miracle either. It is all based on science, and now neuroscience is starting to understand this. And it's not woo-woo metaphysics anymore. This is becoming real science. And that's what even back, a lot of people are doing this, not knowing it. I did it 40 some years ago. When I left Norway, I had my vision, my dream on becoming a pilot in the United States. I had pictures of airplanes, pictures of control panels, and I was just looking at things that I was visualizing myself flying airplanes. I was visualizing myself owning a flight operation. And I spent a lot of time doing that. So I did it back then. I had no idea what I was doing. Well, I knew what I was doing, but I didn't know if there was a name on it. Now we know there's a name.
So people can access the mastermind connection if they want better health, if someone they know needs help with their health. But we can also use it for abundance. And can you explain a bit to folks what abundance actually means? Because some people think it's just paper money. It's not, is it, Aage? It's so much more.
Oh, yeah. In fact, abundance really has lesser to do with money than it has to do with other things. Abundance can be abundance of good friends. It can be abundance of love in your life. It could be all kinds of other things around it. But there is this thing called money that always seems to sneak in on us. And it is a tool. It's an energy that if we use it right, it can make our lives wonderful. But in order to use it right, we have to understand what it is. It isn't just paper. Actually, it's not paper, it's cotton. Well, in the United States anyway. And
it's plastic here.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can't even hold it anymore.
Oh, really? Oh, all right. Yeah. But I tell you though, if you understand what money is, it's an energy represented by paper or plastic. And it comes through your thinking. That's what brings money into your existence. A lot of times people go to school and they go to college and they get an education. That's part of that thinking process in order to create money.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully more than that. Hopefully you get an education is something that you would enjoy doing. But don't tell me that attorneys go out and get a legal education because they love law. It's a horrible industry.
Mm-hmm.
One out of surveys have shown 1 out of 10 lawyers enjoy what they're doing. The others hate it, but they do it for the money.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's why they die early.
Yeah, that's
So,
kind of putting the cart before the horse. It's
yeah.
completely backwards. So how, in contrast to that, are we working with abundance in the mastermind?
Well, we did the last Sunday we did one on abundance,
Mm-hmm.
and we had everybody visualize their own expression or visualized image of abundance.
Mm-hmm.
And we combined that, sent it into the universe, and it's coming back. So we're expecting to see some things happening soon in that regard. In fact, I know of one thing that already has happened. So we're going to try to talk about that next time we get together because there's some results already starting. And
Wonderful.
yeah, so this is something that everybody can do. And if I see you have in the chat here on the show, I see you have the Mastermind Connection. There is a link to it. So people click on that link and go to the website, and there is 2 videos. There's going to be more. That is in the free section where it's an explanation of what we're doing is one of them, and another one is a radio show that Nori Love, my partner there, and I did on explaining how to use the mastermind and what it is and how it works and so on. And before you join in on a mastermind session, it really would help if you had watched those 2 videos because that will give you the foundation to understand what it is, how it works, and what can really be done with it, and really how simple it is.
I agree. I've seen both of those videos and they were really helpful. And I definitely think that would be the jumping off point for folks,
Yeah.
along with sending the email so that they can get the notifications and the Zoom invitations for the mastermind meetup on Sundays. Very, very effective. I've also noticed that you offer some other things in the program for those who wish it, including you teach how to do effective meditation is one thing. Can you speak
Yeah.
a bit about that, Augie?
Well, I think expansion of consciousness usually comes quicker to the ones that engages in meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And for many people, it is a must. Otherwise, they don't know how to quiet their mind. Because for a lot of people, the mind's going 90 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
I was even worse than that. I was doing
It's like the mall at
450.
Christmas time.
Huh?
It's like the mall, the shopping mall at
Oh, yeah.
Christmas time
Yeah.
inside
Yeah.
people's heads.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And once you know how to quiet your mind, then you're able to formulate a thought that you can send through the channel because there is no unwanted thoughts clogging the channel into the universal mind.
Mm-hmm.
And when you don't have those unwanted thoughts, you can get the answers coming back from the universal mind up to your conscious understanding.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're thinking about all kinds of different things, the answers come back, but they stop at the conscious mind because there's already busy doing other stuff, so it doesn't reach you. And
Mm-hmm.
that is very important. And there are some tricks to quieting your mind, and we're going to be teaching that. I would like to start a meditation class here coming next month. I'm going to talk to Nori about that and see if we can put that together because it is so important. And other things that we're going to be doing is if there's an interest for it, we'll teach astral travel.
Mm-hmm.
And I have been nudging Nori about this, and I don't know, she might be, she may not like me for this, but she has bent spoons. And it would be such a fun, wonderful thing to do. And because on her kitchen counter, she has actually several spoons and held on to it, and it rolled up into a ball, basically.
Did she do that herself?
Yeah,
Or
she
did she
did.
get the spoons like that?
No, she
She did
did
it.
it herself.
Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know she had that skill.
Yeah, and I would love for her to teach that. It would be so fun. Gosh, I hope I don't get in trouble on this one. But anyway, there's other things too that we're gonna do, and you can once you go and look at the different tiers of support in there, you can find out what we plan on doing. The meditation class, I think, would be a good one to start with. And that gives people different types of access to us, and we're going to do some extra sessions with people at different levels. So and another thing is that yes, I have the book here too, so here it is. And in there I deal with a lot of things and on the mind. I write about many things that is of general interest. Christ, I even get into what Jesus looked like 2,000 years ago. You know, there is some manuscripts, some old papers, some of it in the hidden Roman records, surviving Roman records, that in his wanted poster explained what he looked like, what his names was, and things like that. And also, I teach people how to use their mind in ways that they normally would think would be impossible. But it is very possible. So I think that's something that people should think about. And of course, you can find it on Amazon and also at another website that I have. It's called uh, aage-nost.com. That is aage-nost.com. And that's where you have all those pictures, 5,300 pictures of unbelievable things, including NASA prints of people walking on the moon without a spacesuit and just all kinds of goofy stuff.
It's
So
great.
yeah, so just have fun with it.
Oh, I really recommend the book because yes, it's got lots of interesting information, but what it does is it really helps to open the doors of our minds so that we can see what's possible. You also are very good at putting in, reference work by other people to support what you say. And then what I really like is the second part of the book where it has the really practical steps on how to bring more into our life that is our birthright. All of us deserve to have wonderful health, more than enough of everything we need, and of course, love, everything we need. So, yes, I definitely recommend your book. And of course, the links to everything are going to be below in the description box. Don't forget to check that out and find out where you can reach us. So,
There's
go ahead.
yeah, there's one thing that I'm telling people, and that is that when you get this book, if you read it 3 times, and there is a reason for that, because it's written on several levels of consciousness. First time you're going to catch some of it and say, yeah, that is nice, that's very interesting. And then the second time say, gee, I didn't understand that. And the third time it's going to open up to you because you are building on the other 2 times, and now you will understand the whole picture. But if you read it 3 times, call me, because then you are ready for stage 2.
Wow, that's amazing. Now I'm almost finished reading it for the second time, and I definitely noticed a difference. The first time was kind of like you said, oh, isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? But the second time I started reading it through, it was like these little not explosions, but little kind of awareness where I went, whoa, and I started to really grasp the concepts and how they're linked together. So I definitely have it on my list to read for a third time. But I think anyone out there who gets the book definitely will love it, and it will help a lot. Because we're taught so many things in this world that just aren't true. It was very confusing for me growing up, and even in my adult life, where everything I get told is real seems not real. And a lot of what I'm told isn't real actually is real. is real.
Yeah.
So your book is very good for sorting that out, and I hope everybody gets it because it
And
will
I
really.
got a novelty in the back of it. I think it's the next to the last chapter where I talk about time travel. In
Mhm.
fact, I talk about how you can do it. There is a method. Once you condition your mind, when you get to a point where you can be good at visualization and you are able to impose on yourself a total conviction of something, and that's not that hard to do. It just takes a little practice.
Mhm.
Once you do that, you can actually do this. You can go into the future or the past and you can see things and observe things. And maybe going into the future and visiting yourself could be an interesting thing to do. And there is two ways to do that. Go into the future and expect the surprise because you have not created the future yet. Or you can first of all just visualize and think each year or month or day into the future into existence first, and then go into the future and solidify it to make sure that it happens. And that's what I've done. And in there, you can really do some amazing thing. If you want to see evidence of time travel, go to the website aage-nost.com, go into the picture gallery, page 8, scroll down, I think it's 7th or 8th row of pictures down. You can see two pictures next to each other. And there is the evidence of time travel. So I'll leave you with that cliffhanger because there is something to this. And I'm not just blowing hot air here. Because in 2003, BBC Television came over to the United States to do a TV documentary on time travel.
Mhm.
And they were going to do that with Michio Kaku, and everybody knows his name, and
Mhm.
Green, and another theoretical physicist, and
Mhm.
me. On that TV documentary that was shown to 1 billion people around the world, I demonstrated a small electronic device that I've had some very strange experiences with. So there is something to this.
Mhm.
And you will find more about that in the book. There is a way you can actually do this.
Mhm. Mhm. Wonderful. And this all ties back in with the mastermind connection. What led you to want to start this program, Augie? I'm curious.
I've been wanting to do it for a long time, and I was talking to Nori about it, and she thought, that's a good idea. And we've been talking about it for months and kind of molding it, and just trying to put it together. And
Mhm.
her expertise within the law of attraction
Mhm.
was what I would say made it click.
So you
Because,
use the law of attraction to actually make the mastermind
uh,
connection happen.
huh, that's interesting. Yeah, you're probably right.
Because two minds, you and Nori
Yeah,
got together and came up with the idea, and now it's a reality and it's helping people.
yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah. No, she kind of rounded it off so that it made it. I could have done this by myself, but it didn't go just me. I needed someone with her expertise because she's really good at it.
Mhm.
And then, we overlap pretty well.
Mhm.
And I'm more nuts and bolts, and she gives me griefs over that once in a while. But she is all into the spiritual part. And when you match those together, it becomes more complete. That is what my understanding is.
Yes, and two heads are definitely better than one because one can think of something the other didn't think of, and it works out really well. I have
Hmm.
to congratulate you. You and Nori have done a really great job of putting this program together, and I'm really excited about the potential to help people, to ease their suffering, to give them answers, to show them that there's a way out, to give them hope, and to even have hope that we can help, save even our brothers and sisters around the planet by altering course of weather, bringing rain where rain is needed, and turning or fizzling out, getting hurricanes and things like that to fizzle out. And we've sort of proven that we can do this over and over and over again. So I'm very, very excited about this. And I think it's going to just bring the kind of relief people are really needing and really looking for right now.
Another thing that I want to do here for all of you guys out there that are listening to this and want disclosure to happen, I think we can make it happen a lot sooner than what maybe others have in mind.
Oh, yeah. In fact, I actually think it's already started. I've been doing a lot of research on how the fourth and fifth and sixth dimensions work. And, when something passes from fourth dimensional reality into third dimension, only the XYZ axes are what we're able to determine. And so a lot of these spheres and things that we're spotting are just three-dimensional representations of something much more complex that's in the fourth. But we're all here together. So yes, very, very exciting times we live in. Really exciting. So Aage, we got a few minutes left, but I'd like to just basically say again, where can people find out more? How can people access this program?
First of all, send us an email to the mastermindconnection@gmail.com. And when we get that, we will send you a link back, an email back with a link in it, so you can join in on the session on Sundays at 2 o'clock East Coast time in the afternoon, 11 o'clock in the morning in the West Coast time, 8 o'clock in Central European time, 7 o'clock at Greenwich, that's England, and wherever else. So you participate, and the mastermind session is free. Now, on the website, for the mastermind session, that is a Patreon site where we would love for people to join us at different levels, because we are going to have all the recordings of these sessions will be placed under the red ray or the red tier. So the people can go there and watch it, and then they would need to commit themselves to $2 a month to get those recordings, plus a lot of other stuff, interesting stuff that will make your life easier, would help you a lot. And in fact, I'm just now putting together an article I'm going to put there about how to reverse the aging process, which I also explain in the book what I'm doing, and it's working. Both the Nobel Prize was given for the discovery of it, and nobody told you about it. In the book, I explain what I do.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. So just to reiterate, so for people to participate in the Mastermind Connection is free, no cost whatsoever. If they want to be able to partly to help support the project, they can go to Patreon, but they can also go there so that they can take a look at the different tiers that are available. And the tiers start off at $2 a month, so it's less than the price of a cup of coffee. They get a whole month of being able to go on there and rewatch the different meditations and the different instructions and see the different people that are involved. And so pretty much anybody could afford this program. And then, of course, there are more complex tiers that cost a little bit more, but all of them very reasonably priced. But then you get into coaching. I understand you and Nori each do your own kind of can you tell us a little bit about the coaching?
She will probably do some coaching on the law of attraction and probably hypnosis, and we're going to do something with hypnosis. We haven't totally put that together yet because I've been doing hypnosis for 50 years too. Not much lately, but there's self-hypnosis that can be done, and she's able to help with that. And for anybody that wants to go back and have a look at previous lifetimes, they need to get a hold of Nori because she did a live session with me, a recording of when she took me back,
Mm-hmm.
and that got interesting. But people can actually do this. They can be in Biloxi, Mississippi, or in Moscow, Russia. We can do it, or she can do it on the computer with you and take you back to have a look at previous lives or different even health situations because she's a nurse and she is trained in this, so she can do that.
Mm-hmm.
So have a look at that.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we're getting close to the end of our time, Augie. I just want to give you a couple minutes, give you the floor in case there's anything else you want to tell people about this wonderful mastermind connection.
A lot of the stuff that we will be putting into the Mastermind Connection Patreon site will be different hacks and different information about things that will make your life easier. And also oddball science that is relevant to us, future science, what we can expect to happen. In fact, another one I'm going to put up there very shortly into the into as a Patreon. I'm gonna. There's something that I was taught in the martial arts decades ago about how to stay healthy and never get sick ever. And
Mm-hmm.
I have not been sick. Well, except for some really well-deserved hangovers, but otherwise I've never been sick. That I can get a cold and I
Mm-hmm.
can feel it coming on, but I
Mm-hmm.
get rid of it
Mm-hmm.
because there is something you can do, and I'm going to put something together on that. These kinds of things will be in there, so it'll be well worth your 2 or 10 or whatever dollars a month that you decide to do.
Wonderful, really wonderful. So, Augie, now can you just give us where people can find you again, what you're up to, your different podcasts, and of course,
Oh
again,
yeah.
and all
I,
links will be below.
okay, that's good. That's good. Nori and I do radio shows, and you can find the radio shows at broadcastteamalpha.com.
Mhm.
www.broadcastteamalpha.com. We got a lot of good interviews there with people that is well known and some are not known, but they got phenomenally good material. And also, I have another website which I got all the shows from the Universal Consciousness Show, and that is www.universal-consciousness-show.com, and that's where you find the 5,300 pictures that is hard to believe exists, but they do. And also articles in there about future science and goofy stuff that is almost unbelievable but did happen.
It is a really wild and awesome world we live in if we just kind of step outside of the box and take a peek. I encourage people to step outside of the box because that's where all the really cool stuff is going on.
Yeah, I would say maybe a little different. Jump out of the box and run as fast as you can because that box is no good for you. If you can see it, it's bad news. Just destroy the thing when you leave. So it's nothing to go back to. That is what I did when I left Norway to come to the United States to be a pilot. I burned my bridge.
Mhm.
When I left, people said, "Oh, you're nuts. You're going to end up like everybody else that go to the United States and become a pilot. They come back and drive taxi cabs because they can't take the competition."
Not you. You
I
made
burned my bridge. I couldn't go back.
it. Mm-hmm.
That's why I succeeded.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, Augie, it's been just a pure pleasure to have you on the show. I am so grateful that that I know you and that I've also had a chance to participate in the Mastermind Connection. I recommend it very highly. And I guess we'll all meet again on the Mastermind Connection on Sunday.
We will see you on Sunday.
Okay, Aage. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us for the Quantum Guide Show. Become the change you wish to see in the world. Subscribe to Karen's YouTube channel, click the like button, and share this show with your friends. Check out Karen's website at KarenHoltonHealthCoach.com. All the links are available in the description box below. Until the next time, keep up the good work.
Surrendering to endlessness puts all my inner strife to rest. For time gives birth to hurriedness. It all makes sense, well, more or less. And the sages put me to their test. With heart and soul, I do my best to find the answers to my quest. I wonder and I must confess, I don't know where it comes from, but I know it's okay. If this is all an illusion, then I'm willing to play, play. It's okay. It's okay.